What's good, everyone? This your main correspondent, Alan Taylor, and I'm back in the broadcast room. And this is what we at now. So clearly you see the title of the broadcast. And so apparently in Chicago here recently, we had a gang of underage children, I'm guessing under the age of 10, something like that, jumping on a mother and her children right outside of the elementary school. This is ridiculous here, people. And it shows what we've come to in the Black community. All these decades of, not having proper homes and stuff like that, no discipline, no structure, the morals have been lost. And then now we're reaping the benefits of the culture that we lost because we don't want to act right as people. We don't want to marry properly. We don't want to, have the standards that we need to have as a culture in order to raise our children properly. So now they're out here terrorizing adults. So we're about to dive off into this. Quarters, nickels, and dimes.
The community is outraged after an attack on a mother and her two young children. You can see in this video here where it happened in the South Deering neighborhood. And we are blurring the video because the people involved are all minors. Our Sharday Gray is live outside of the school where this happened. Sharday, we're learning this is not the first time that this specific group of kids attacked someone.
Exactly, Marie. The large group of parents were outside of the school calling for accountability. They say bullying has been a problem at the school, but now it's crossed the line into violence. The mother, who is also the victim, has been at the school all day talking to authorities.
Damn!
Disturbing video, all caught on camera.
So let me go.
Children dragging a mother and her son to the ground. We've blurred the faces of the people involved because they're minors. Police say the 33-year-old mother and her 9-year-old son were walking near 106 and Bensley in the South Deering neighborhood when the group of kids started chasing after the mother and her children, calling them names and taunting them. Both the mother and son were taken to a hospital. Word of the attack spread quickly on social media, causing outrage among many parents.
I couldn't sleep. I was traumatized. I could not sleep. I couldn't believe it.
Shanice Davis lives in the neighborhood and says she recognizes the attackers.
This is not the first time the kids have done this. Just talk around the streets that these kids have pretty much been raising themselves and they have not been held accountable. They have vandalized cars. They have harassed adults and children.
One day after.
This is wild right here. So she's saying that these specific group of children, because she said she recognized these these children that did this to this woman and her small children. So she recognized them from actually previous situations of running around the community terrorizing people. And nobody's out here stopping. Nobody's out here knocking on their parents' doors. Listen, look, why are your children out here, beating up people? What type of home are these people being raised in? Man, come on.
After the attack, demonstrators showed up at Orville Bright Elementary School after some posted on social media threatening to harm the children behind the attack. Several police officers showed up blocking the entrance of the school to protect kids inside. Chicago Police District Council member Joseph Williams was also talking with the
We're going to make sure that this school leadership steps up and that they put a safety plan in place, that they put any plan they need to put in place to make sure that these babies feel secure. Bullying should have a zero tolerance behind it.
I don't understand why, people want to come on and try to blame the school system. Listen, look, these teachers are already, quitting out here because these children are running around here, not complying, not acting right, doing all types of crazy things. They're on these phones and stuff like that, and we see these videos and stuff of teachers saying that they're quitting and giving up on students, even if they really do have a passion for this. But my thing is that he could sit there all day and try to blame the school and these in situations where they don't have this in place and that in place to stop bullying. No, this egregious behavior starts at home. Everything starts at home. Learning how to eat, learning how to use the bathroom, learning how to, walk, talk, everything starts at home. And see, in today's society, we want to negate those facts and then just blame everybody else once these terrorists get outside their homes and stuff like that and haven't been raised properly. Now it's the school system that need to fix this and fix that. And these teachers got to be superheroes and fucking, you know, counselors and all these other type of people and stuff like that has nothing to do with the school situation. It starts at home, man. And our children are suffering for the lack of, you know, true parenting in the community as a whole. This is ridiculous.
We reached out to Chicago Public Schools about this incident and allegations from parents that their children were bullied by the same group of kids. CPS says they're horrified by the attack, and they're working closely with the mayor's office, CPD, CHA, and other city departments to provide additional support for the family.
Okay, so, you know, and this is where we at here, because this is a crying shame that we have to deal with this mess. So we're going to go here now. We're going to hear from the mother on what, you know, her thought process on this situation here.
Now to a CBS exclusive. The mother in this video, who was attacked while protecting her children, is speaking publicly. She and her son were brutally attacked by a group of kids on Monday, and this video has caught the attention of many across the country. Now that community is stepping in to help move her out of the South Deering neighborhood. She only spoke to our Sharday Gray about this horrific attack, and Sharday is live in our newsroom with more from this exclusive story.
Well, Marie, Korshonda Hatter says she's still in physical pain after she and her son were brutally attacked with her young daughter just steps away. Her legs are bruised and it's hard for her to walk. But what hurts her the most is her children are still suffering.
My son is, he's very devastated. He'll wake up out of him in the middle of his sleep, screaming. He'll scream, "Mommy, are you there?"
Hatter says her 9-year-old son and 6-year-old daughter are traumatized after watching their mom get attacked by a group of kids. In this video, we've blurred the faces of those involved because they're all minors. We've stopped it after she was dragged to the ground because of how brutal it is. Her son was beaten, and she says one of the kids pulled her daughter's hair. Her daughter stood off to the side crying, watching her brother and mother get attacked.
I felt helpless because I was down on the ground and he was down on the ground and he's looking at me screaming like, "Mommy, please help me, help me." I couldn't get up myself. I couldn't do nothing.
She's 6. She has sickle cell. So I guess they seen a little weakness on her because she's, you know, kind of walking a little slow.
Yeah, sickle cell is a serious situation here. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to her, you know, for fighting with that situation, you know, with sickle cell, stuff like that, dealing with that disease and things like that. This is wild out here, man. And our children in the Black community are running around here, you know, doing this to other children and adults. And we were wondering why. We're wondering why we can't get anywhere as Black people. This is crazy right here.
They have no right to put their hands on an adult.
Right.
That's her partner, Devon Lee, who was at work when the attack happened. Hatter.
Look at that, though. See, sorry, I gotta cut it. I gotta cut it because, you know, this is crazy right here. Now, obviously, this lady has a man in the household. You know what I'm saying? Regardless, we don't know, married, not, you know, whether he followed children or not, you know, either way it go. She has a man in the household, and she thought enough of this man to bring him to this interview with her, because she could have easily just, you know, left him out the picture. She really could have. You know, she could have really easily left him out the picture. So, you know, this is the case here, you know, and for him to start speaking about the situation, and then they just fade him out. They just fade him out. Oh, well, you know, this is her partner. You know, he at work trying to make a living, trying to pay for the house, though, or whatever they got going on, stuff like that, you know, and things of that nature. You know, I get it. They living in a certain type of neighborhood. That's probably what they can afford right now. She has sickle cell, so she's not able to, you know, maybe work like that and things like that. So he's working, he's trying to provide what he can, stuff like that. Maybe, of course, ain't no telling, maybe try and get better. Who knows? All I'm saying is, though, when there is seeming to be a man in the household, society always figures out a way to try to, maneuver around that fact, the partner, and they faded him out when he was speaking about the situation or what was going on with him and basically his family. This is crazy to me, highly disrespectful, but it is what it is, though.
That's her partner, Devon Lee, who was at work when the attack happened. Hatter went on to tell me that her son has been bullied for the past 2 years at Orville T. Bright Elementary School because of the way she walks and talks, all of the results of her sickle cell disease. Hatter tried to talk to the school about the bullying, but she says they didn't do anything about it. Yesterday, a large group of parents came to the school to show their support for the mother and to put an end to bullying. The community immediately stepped in and moved her out of South Deering and into an undisclosed location. Hatter says she's pressing charges against the parents of the kids who attacked her. As for her children, they'll be transferred to a different school, and she's looking to get therapy for them.
Okay, so that's good, though. Pressing charges against the parents. So I wonder how this case is going to work out here, because, this is something new, where, of course, you can't press charges against the minors. The minors can't be, at that young age, can't really just be charged with anything, which is, I understand that. Like, they're way too young. You're supposed to have some type of adult structure and morals that you've instilled in these young babies. They're too young to be out here terrorizing the community like that. This is ridiculous, but this is what we've come to as Black people. This is what our community has come to, with all these, fatherless households, and the morals being neglected, and the understanding of how life really works, and the structure that's needed in order for our children to become decent citizens in the long run. Let's go here now.
So outraged in Chicago after video captures a mother and her 9-year-old son being harassed and then badly beaten by grade school children while walking near a school. We talked to two leaders of that Chicago community in just a moment, but first, let's go to Mike Tobin live there with the details. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning. Parents and frankly, people all over Chicago are now kind of horrified and outraged at this video that's not going viral. It has gone viral, of a mother and her 9-year-old son who were mobbed and beaten by a group of school-age bullies. Now, the video is a bit brutal, so be ready for that, but it shows this mother and the aggressiveness of the kids increasing as Corshwanda Hatter tries to protect her son. Finally, this mob of youngsters started.
Okay, so yeah, they showing a lot here. Hold on here. They trying to blur it out, but they still showing a little bit too much. Let's go.
She had bullied at school for 2 years, and the school did nothing to protect him, so she showed up to walk her kids home. Now, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson did say, he put out a statement on X that he was deeply disturbed and we should not attempt to normalize this type of senseless violence. Chicago police put out a statement saying both victims were transported to Trinity Hospital in serious condition. No one is in custody at this time. The Area 2 detectives are investigating. In Illinois.
My thing of this is, of course, Brandon, listen, look, man, Brandon Johnson, we all know what he's got going on up there in Chicago. He's already took the resources out of the Black community, but that's neither here nor there right now. And then, nobody's been charged. Of course, you can't charge children of that age like that, but we need to come up with some type of laws on the books to when we have these types of scenarios or situations pop off, to where the parents can be charged, or some type of charge, or some type of discipline needs to be, put down on that particular household where those type of children are being raised. Some type of discipline needs to be applied to, the mother and that particular household, period. Because this is crazy right here, that these children feel like they can just jump on other children in the school and also the parents. Jesus Christ, you know what I'm saying? my thing of this is I'm so glad that these young children didn't have any real weapons. And I'm gonna say that again. I'm glad that these young children didn't have the fortitude to grab it, to bring any weapons to school or anything like that, knives or whatever weapons they could get hold to, because it would have been a true tragedy if these babies had been able to get hold to weapons to do this, and it would have been, the damage would have been way more greater. This is sad right here. This is totally disrespectful. These parents need to be brought in front of the public opinion court and set on fire.
Illinois State Senator Willie Preston said this video is a symptom of something that's been going on for a long time, that the kids have not been held accountable and the parents have not been held accountable for the actions of their children. Guys, back to you.
All right. Thanks so much. So our next guests know this family very well. Chicago Councilmember Joseph Williams met with the mom after the attack, and Pastor Corey Brooks, founder of Project Hood, knows the boy, who attends his after school and summer programs. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining the program. Pastor, this is something that you have been working with for years now, trying to stop nonsense like this with our young people. What's going on?
Well, unfortunately, this is the cycle that we continue to see in the city of Chicago, where violence is so rampant and parents are being held unaccountable. And that's the reason why I'm walking across America, trying to get people to wake up in our urban areas so they can understand the magnitude of the issues that we're faced with every single day. Chicago is just a microcosm of what's going on across America. These young people are unruly. They have no moral compass. And we need organizations to really work hard to make sure we change the direction of our neighborhoods. If we're ever going to change the trajectory of our young people, we got to catch them early. We got to continue to do the work. But the tragedy is, in Chicago right now, we're facing some devastation that has been going on for years, and we need to get a handle on it.
It's not just Chicago. It's the whole Black community, bro. It's the whole Black community all across the damn nation. We've abandoned a lot of the morals and stuff like that, due to, other entities outside and also inside. Listen, look, man, our children are suffering, and mentally suffering, physically suffering. And we clearly see this right here. They're taking out, the violence of what's going on in their households. And like I said, though, it's certain things that need to be put into place here. Certain laws that need to be, put in place to where when we have these types of situations, parents need to be held accountable. Of course, these children are too young to really, I don't want to say they're too young to grasp what they're doing, because, what I'm saying, everybody should know right from wrong. But all I'm saying is, though, obviously they're living in a loose household. And I'm glad to see that, obviously from what they just said, that this, her children, definitely her son, also too, she had a young daughter that was involved. They hadn't mentioned that a lot throughout this broadcast about the young girl that also was involved. That was her daughter as well. But, I'm glad to see that the young man is in programs and stuff like that. And that's definitely due to the fact that, it's a two-parent household that, this young man has been raised in. Seems like, and obviously the gentleman was at work when this shit popped off and stuff like that. But, this is ridiculous, man. This is ridiculous. And I'm really going to keep stressing this. We need to start putting laws in place for these type of parents that neglect their duties as parents. And, I get it. It breaks down to a moral situation, which is something that's kind of hard to, place upon people. You have to want that for yourself. You have to want morals for your life so you won't fall into chaos and destruction and death. You have to want that for yourself and want that for your family and want that for people that you proclaim to love. But, you know, obviously these children are in a household where there's no real love. There's no real, you know, understanding. They've been neglected. Obviously, we hear that people are saying all the other people throughout this broadcast have said that these particular children as a particular group have also been running around terrorizing other people before. You know, one lady said that she saw the same children doing the same thing to other people at some point. So yeah, it's a small gang of babies running around here terrorizing other children and adults. This is ridiculous. This is highly disrespectful. Whoever these parents are of these little small nigglets, they need to get these babies in line. And if they can't do it, so the CPS, somebody need to step in and go head on and get some charges brought up on these parents. But it is what it is, though. Shout out to all my subscribers. Mad love to y'all. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like, share, subscribe button. Make sure you ring that bell to be notified whenever I decide to post things. And like I always say,
and that, my friends, is the bottom line.
That, my friends, is the bottom line.